सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः, भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः, स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमनिर्वहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः, स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः, स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो वरिष्ठनेमिः, स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So we were looking at the meaning of the Upanishad word, which Bhashyakara Shankaracharya is giving as Brahma Vidya. Brahma Gamayati, the Gatyartha. That Brahma Jnanam itself destroys samsara and destroys the avidya, which is the Mula, samsara Mula. So that way the Shadl Dhatu has three meanings. All three of them are relevant if you give the meaning of Upanishad as Brahma Vidya. Brahma Gamayati iti Gatyartha, Samsara Shiryati iti Visharanartha, and Samulam Avidya Avasadayati. So Avasadanartha also. All these three meanings is relevant. So if Brahma Vidya is really the meaning of Upanishad, why the book is called Upanishad? Like that also there is a question. Okay. That is because then there is a sambandha between the book and the knowledge, correct? There is a Pratipadaka, Pratipadya, Sambandha we say. The book is the one which is revealing that knowledge, so that book has that knowledge as the subject matter, so that book also can be called as Upanishad.
Anubandha Chashtra.
So like this, we talk about this. Of course, any subject matter if we talk about, we have to talk about the, like he said, Anubandha Chatushtaya. In that, what is the thing? Who is qualified first? What are the qualifications? Adhikaritvam, we have to talk about. Like I said, to study the Upanishad, the main adhikaritvam is first you have to understand your own fundamental problem. Otherwise, you are not even clear about what you really want from Upanishad, then your study will not be fruitful. So that's why we spend some time always to make you understand why you are even studying this Vedanta. It is not for any some special experience or anything. We already have all the experience to analyze our own confusion. Okay, whatever the self-identity confusion which is there, to analyze that, we don't require any other special experience or anything. All the experience is already available to us. We have to only properly do this analysis with the help of a guru also. That is also very important. In fact, this point comes out explicitly in the Mundaka Upanishad and also in the Prashnopanishad. And implicitly it comes out in many other Upanishads and Gita also. Why I say this? Because most of our Upanishads are all discussions between the Guru and the Shishya, correct? Otherwise, why should the Upanishad even present it like that? In fact, one of the lines of the introduction in the Prashnopanishad Sambandha Bhashya is, Bhashyakara says, all this Akhyayika, correct? In this Upanishad, 6 disciples go to the Guru, who is Pipalada. They ask questions to him. But even before they ask the first question, he tells them that you have to live with me for 1 more year and practice brahmacharya and tapas. Even though already you are all already you have done Veda Dhyanam, I know that you have already done some tapas also, but still you have to spend 1 more year with me and do Sushrusha to me also. That is what Bhashyakara says. It is not there in the Upanishad. But Bhashyakara says living 1 year with the Guru means it's not that you are eating and sleeping, correct? You have to do seva to the Guru is implied there. That Bhashyakara tells that. And why all this story is given? Because it is not directly relevant to the subject matter, correct? Why should the Upanishad talk about this? Means again he says Vidya Stutyarthaye, correct? To praise the knowledge. Because this knowledge is not something which is easily available, one. And so you have to also work for it to gain it. So praise this knowledge. It is something very sacred and also very, there is no comparison in fact with anything else, correct? So this Vidya Stuti Artha, only this Akhyayika or the story portion is talked about. Like this the introduction is there. But from all these things what we understand, that Guru is required. for this particular subject matter. But why can't I do self-learning today? AI also is there. Why can't AI teach me means? That's why you even see in the Mundaka Upanishad, this Tad Vijnanartham sa Gurumeva Abhigachet. Like that explicitly there is a statement is there. So because that Pariksha Lokan I told you, right? Continuation of that is what? You know that Nasti Akritaha Kritena. But still you have to know about that. How do you know means Tat Vijnanartham. For knowing that which is uncreated, uncaused, limitless, you have to go to the Guru Meva Abhigachet. How do you go? That means with the right attitude again, correct? He says Samit Panihi, along with the Samit. This Samit Panihi comes even in the Prashnopanishad also, we will see that. And what kind of a Guru? Means Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So all these things are very clearly given in the Shastra. And in the commentary, Shankaracharya also says, even Shastrajñopi Swatantriyena Brahmanveshanam na kurya. Even though you may be a big Samskrita Pandita, you know Tarka Shastra, you know grammar, correct? Still, independently you should not do this Brahmanveshanam, means this analysis of Brahman and trying to understand this, don't do by yourself. He gives it na kuryat, like that. It is more of a you should not do kind of a force is there in that. So one should not do it by oneself. That is because of the nature of this subject matter itself. Understand that. So what is so different about self-knowledge compared to any other knowledge? That also you should have some understanding. Because every other thing you objectify in your mind and know, correct? Your entire life, your school studies, any other studies you have done, everything is by objectifying the world. The world of objects only you have known. And the world of objects have come to you through your senses and your mind. You have objectified it through your senses and finally in your mind and you know. So sense perception directly goes through the sense and mind. But anumana or inference and logic and all, based on the existing sense perception, you are further, it is purely mental activity, correct? But still it is all based on the objectification of your mind. Even black hole also as a concept you objectify and know, even though you cannot really have any sensory perception of that. Even light does not escape, we can say that. But everything you know by objectifying. But self-knowledge is very different. Why? Because you cannot objectify yourself, correct? This is where a lot of problems also come. That is why even experience hunting is useless, because as long as the experiencer experienced divide is there, you are not really knowing yourself or anything. Understand that. So we are talking about the oneness of the subject and object here, which is yourself. But that cannot come as an experience, because as long as experienced divide is there also, there is no oneness or anything. And there is still again, there is no akhandata, as we say, because there is again a distinction will come in there. So this is purely in terms of knowledge of yourself we are talking about. But the main thing, important thing is, you need not objectify yourself to know yourself. Although due to vasana, we can say, correct, due to habitual tendencies, even self-knowledge you are trying to objectify and know, or do some kind of visualization and all that. Of course, visualization and upasana are all useful to start with. I am not saying it is that you don't have to do it and all that.
Chitta ekagrata.
Correct. So it is useful. But the important thing one has to understand is, Atma Jnanam is not any kind of visualization. It is not also any kind of objectification of anything. So even if I say limitless, you should not imagine that you are spreading all over the place or whatever, in all space and time, somehow. So that's not the idea here. But to clearly understand, even space-time is really only in me. Understand that. Because I, as I, when I say, of course, I in the Vyavahara, we are using it with reference to body, mind, sense, complex, everything. And I means I have a certain individuality based on that, correct? So you have a name, you have some parents, all that. So that means it is so much ingrained in yourself, your own individuality. You don't really analyze whether that individuality is intrinsic to you or it is transient. So one of the things we have to analyze here is, whatever I think I am, that individuality, is it intrinsic to me? Is it my Swarupa? Correct? Is it my very nature? Or is it something which is coming and going? If it is something coming and going, how can it be my intrinsic nature? That we have to analyze and understand, and also have a certain clarity with reference to that. Then you can be free of your individuality. You can still act as an individual, being free from the effects or ill effects of the individuality itself. It is like the actor is free from any character he takes upon, correct? This my Guruji used to give that as a very important example, correct? So actor is the beggar. Means that is wrong, correct? Actor can never be the beggar, because by acting as beggar only he becomes a millionaire, let us say. Actor is not beggar, but beggar is actor, because there is no beggar character without the actor. And even while begging and crying and all that, he is able to also enjoy the applause of the audience, let us say. In the drama, this fellow is acting as a beggar, he is so real, his acting is so much, but he is still not lost in that. As long as he is not lost in the character, he is maintaining a certain distance, correct? That is purely cognitive. That's what one has to understand. It is the cognitive change we are talking about. So why we are studying Vedanta? It is for having a cognitive change. That cognitive change has to lead to a certain self-transformation, because your self-identity has to be transformed. And to transform your self-identity, first you have to see your very individuality is not really your nature. It is not intrinsic to you. Why? It's a very simple thing, correct? If your individuality is not intrinsic, how do we know that? If it is intrinsic, it has to be there always. You can never get rid of your individuality. But that's not true. In dream, you take up a totally different individuality. You may not be even a human being. I don't know how your dreams are. Or even being a human being, your individual, you can become a king, you can become a queen, or you can become a beggar, we don't know. It can be anything. So there it is also so true. Whatever experience you undergo as a dream beggar or a dream king is very true. Then in deep sleep, there is nothing. I am there still, correct? I am awake, I dream, I sleep. The I in that is the same always. There is no doubt that I am the one I am sleeping, I am the one who is awake, I am the one who is dreaming. In all that, the I is the same, but dream individuality is different, waking individuality is different, and there is no consciousness of any individuality in the deep sleep. So now from this, what do we understand? That individuality itself is something coming and going. It is not intrinsic to me. What is really intrinsic in all these three states, if we analyze this, is that it is still the same thing which we arrived at with Atma and Atma Viveka, correct? That I am a conscious entity to whom everything becomes evident, including my own individuality.
True.
Correct? I am just a conscious entity to whom all these things are becoming evident. Now, are you able to hold your identity as a conscious entity alone? Is the question, correct? That is the difficulty. That's where sadhana and all is important. That's where you have to train your mind. You have to have a certain mastery over your mind. Otherwise, it is very easy to slip into a particular kind of identity. It is like the actor becoming the character itself and suffering. Okay, that's what is happening in everybody's life. So unless you have that cognitive distance, you are not going to escape the suffering. Okay. So that is what we are looking at. So like any knowledge or any insight, knowing this once will not help. Understand that. A single insight will not transform you. That is true for anything. It's not about the self-knowledge. Any other knowledge also, every doctor knows smoking is wrong. It doesn't make any difference, correct? There are enough doctors who smoke. They will give you 100 reasons also why they do. Because my job is high pressure, I am working 24-hour shift, whatever. They can give reasons also. So unless you want to get rid of your habitual tendencies and you have a certain clarity about what you want really, and you have to hold on to that, then only this thing is possible. Otherwise it will become one more hobby. See, moksha cannot be one more pursuit or one more hobby, or whenever I have free time I will attend Vedanta class. It will not work like that. That is why coming to a Gurukulam also is important. Otherwise you can listen to YouTube video, online class and all that, but that doesn't show any commitment really. And also many people say, okay, I have other priorities and all that. If anything else is a priority for you also, it's not going to work. For Vedanta to work, your own happiness should be your highest priority. Is that clear?
Absolutely.
Otherwise, Vedanta will not work. Why I am saying this is, in fact, from my own life, if you take, when myself and Kalyan we went to Swamiji, initially I told you that Swamiji said, don't come, you are all too young, you are all having good jobs in US, you are earning a lot, I won't take you. Then finally we forced him to take us. Then he said, within 1 week you come to Anekati, because already the course is on. So we did a garage sale, sold everything. I could not even sell my car. I just gave it to somebody and said, okay, you sell it and send the money later. Then we all left. Within 4 days only, we resigned our jobs, left, came to India. Then when we came to India, Swamiji also introduced us like that. He said, see these two guys, they are standing here. They were in US last week, but they've just given up everything and they have come here and all that. Swamiji introduced us like that in the Satsanga when we went to Anagati first. Then everybody thought, okay, these people have done some great tyaga and all that, correct? So even then what I used to say is, if I also think that I have done a great tyaga, that means my attitude is not correct. Because I didn't do any tyaga. I wanted to pursue my own happiness, correct? For that reason I have come there. I haven't done anything else. In fact, I would have been miserable sitting in the US. You may think I have done some tyaga. I haven't done any tyaga. In fact, my parents may have done some tyaga really, because they gave permission. Even though they were miserable, somehow they gave the permission, that they told, okay, let him be happy in whichever way he wants. That's what my mother said actually. She told Swamiji, let him be happy in whichever way he wants to be. But that doesn't mean doing something wrong and all that, but at least even for them to send me to the Gurukulam is not easy, because I was the first person in my family to go to US and I'm earning a lot of money and all that, and they may have had some dreams about me, which I am not, whatever, but they were ready to. So maybe the tyaga, they did some tyaga actually, but I didn't do any tyaga or anything. I only wanted myself to be happy. And I had a clarity that only by doing this I can be happy. So for that reason I went there. Then Vedanta works. You should not go for any other reason also. That's why in the Vedanta we also talk about Smashana Vairagya and all that, correct? Everybody, you go and attend any funeral, everybody has some Vairagya for at least 2 hours. Or till the time you are standing there, you think what is there in life, everything is going to go away, all that. Then tomorrow morning again,
Same thing.
if you don't get your favorite coffee, you are upset. Correct? It doesn't last. So, this Nirveda Mayat, that's why the Upanishad says, correct? In the Mundaka Upanishad also, Nirvedam means what? Dispassion, we say. More than dispassion, you should have clarity with reference to what you want. Because if you are clear about what you want, everything else is immaterial, correct? You don't have to hate anything or anything, or you don't have to really run away from something, but at least pursue what you want and have clarity with reference to what you want. That clarity if you have, then you go and study Vedanta. And still you require the guidance of a teacher, because this subject matter is subtle. Like I told you, it is different from any other kind of knowledge, because it is about yourself, which you can never objectify and learn. In fact, the important thing in Vedanta is you are not learning anything new. You have to only give up all the wrong notions, because you are already what you are. Correct? That is the teaching. You are already the limitless is the teaching. That means you are not accomplishing anything new. You don't have to visualize something and accomplish anything new. You don't have to go anywhere and accomplish anything new. You don't have to change yourself and accomplish anything.
You don't have to do anything.
See, it is not that you will become Brahman. That is not the teaching. Understand that. You are Brahman already. But then why am I not feeling it? Means because that is what you have to give up. That feeling you give up. It's all about giving up all wrong notions alone. You have to do, because Atma is already Swaprakasha, we say. Atma is already self-luminous conscious entity, a self-existent, self-revealing entity, which need not be known as an object. Which cannot be known as an object also, but which need not be known objectively, because you are already there. Because if I ask you, are you there? All of you will say yes. How did you know you are there? Do you have to smell yourself and know? Do you have to see yourself and know? Do you have to touch yourself and know? Or do you have to do some inference, because I am married, I should be there? Nothing, correct? You don't have to use any pramana, any means of knowledge to know your own existence. Because you have to already be there to operate any means of knowledge. Any cognition to take place, the cognizer has to be there, which is I am. And that cognizer need not be known or cannot be known through any means of knowledge, because the cognizer is already implied in any activity of any means of knowledge. And that is myself. But all the problem is because I have notions about myself. These notions have to go away. And that is what the Pramana Vyapara, the Veda is coming and only doing that. It's all only Nivartakam. It's only removing, but there are so many wrong notions, it has to be done again and again and again, and even one insight is not enough. The insight has to be repeated. That is what is Nididhyasanam. In Nididhyasanam you are not creating any new knowledge, correct? Already you are listening to the Guru. Guru is teaching you whatever is there in the Shastra. While the Guru is teaching, in fact, is very clear, correct? Most of my students say that during the class everything is clear. Because it is not something very difficult also, let me tell you. If you have a reasonable intellect, you are a sane person, you are able to concentrate on what the Guru is saying, you can never say I don't know. You will get it. And if the Guru is also knowing how to teach, let us say, you go and sit in Swami Dayananda's class, you can never say that I don't know Vedanta or I did not understand. He will make you understand. But after the class, what happens? That depends on before the class how prepared you were. And after the class, how much clarity you have with reference to what you really want. Correct? So that insight has to be repeated. If you are not able to repeat the insight, attend again and again the class. In fact, Sureshwaracharya says that repeated Shravanam itself is Nididhyasana. You don't have to do anything. For a Vedantin, Shravanam is the most important sadhana. Every other sadhana is only if you are not able to do Shravanam, then to keep yourself occupied, do something else. But the most important thing is, that's why even in the Gita, Bhagavan talks about many yajnas, correct? In the 4th chapter, Dravya yajnas, Tapo yajna, Yoga yajnas, Tatapare, Swadhyaya yajnana yajnascha, Yatayas samshita vrataha. But after listing out all these things, he talks about pranayama and so many things. But finally what he says, Jnana yajnam is the most important for a mumukshu. Jnana and its sadhana are the most important, and you have to focus on that. Jnana yajnam, jnanam itself is tapas for us. The tapas we have to do is jnanamayam tapas, and for that Shravanam is the means. And again comes your interest again. So how can I sit in this Vedanta class? There is not even, Guru is not even telling any joke. There is no entertainment means. That also will not work. That means you still don't have any clarity. So in Vedanta, important thing is what? You are seeking happiness. But to get that happiness, you cannot be sad and get it, correct? The pursuit also should be joyous. It cannot be that I am sitting in a glum way and then listening to the class, means then the Guru is saying you are Ananda Swarupa. That will not work. So that's where even as a Vedanta student, the pursuit also has to be joyous, and then slowly whatever the goal also is the same thing. There is no difference, and in fact after some time it's all one and the same, correct? You don't have to really achieve anything or gain anything. It's only a process of discovery and holding on to whatever you have discovered. That knowledge has to be always available to you, so that you don't slip back into your own self-confusion from where you started. But the habitual tendencies are powerful. They will drag you back. But that's where you have to focus. So this is the Vedanta, this is Upanishad. Now let us come to this Prashnopanishad. Already I told you, of course in the beginning some questions are all related to Upasana here also. The Mundaka Upanishad also talks about some karma and all that, Agnihotram, and then by doing karma you will go to Swarga and all that. Some interesting verses are there in the Mundaka. So Mundaka, you can say, focuses more on karma, but here in the Prashnopanishad, in the same Veda, here it is more about Upasana, but then the Brahma Vidya also is taught by Pipalada. We will see that. Another important thing is each Upanishad has its own Shanti mantra, correct? So what is the mantra we chanted? We chanted Bhadram Karne Bihi. So Bhadram Karne Bihi is the mantra we chanted, and that is because this Upanishad belongs to the Atharvana Veda. So we can look at the meaning of the Shanti mantra also, which is important. It's a very interesting prayer. So Karne Bihi means through my ears, correct? Bhadram means whatever, Mangalam, auspicious. So may I hear auspicious things. Shrunuyamaha. Shrunuyamaha. So may I hear, or may we hear auspicious things. Similarly, Bhadram Pashyema Akshabihi Yajatraha. So here Devaha, Yajatraha is there. They are all, you can take it as Sambodhana. Hey Devaha, you are calling the Devas. And then you are saying, may I Hear whatever is auspicious, and may I see. Yajatraha also, two kinds of meanings you can give for that. Yajantam trayate iti. Yajatraha means devas themselves can be referred as Yajatraha, those who protect the ones who do the yajna or worship. Okay. Or Yajatraha can also be taken up as the Yajamana also. One who is capable of doing yajnas, may he then see whatever is auspicious, may them or may they hear whatever is auspicious. Like this prayer is there. So this can be taken as a general prayer by anybody, correct? But then what is the mumukshu's prayer also we have to understand. How does it apply to a mumukshu? So for a mumukshu, what is the most auspicious?
Shastra Shabda.
So it is not any sound, correct? It is not like some pleasing sound I am hearing. Not only pleasing. In fact, I went to Austin last year. Then in US, in the bedroom, they have some machine which is producing some, what do they call it, some sound. They say that this is like some, it is not any specific sound, okay, it is some
Random.
Like a boom box.
Some sound it is producing. They say that with that sound you sleep well and all that. I said already I sleep well, I have no problem with sleeping.
And sound sleep.
But that sound is supposed to help. It is called some, I forgot what name is that. So they have a machine to produce some whatever sound which you cannot even really identify what it is, I think. Anyway, funny thing. So it is not something like that, correct? It is not about some pleasant sound or some chimes you are hearing and like. It is Shastra Shravanam is the most auspicious and pleasing for the mumukshu. So then the mumukshu's prayer is what? May I listen to the Shastra always, or whatever, if wherever it is possible I should be able to listen to the Shastra. Similarly, even seeing, let us say Pashyema, means here also seeing means knowing clearly, correct?
Yes.
You don't have to literally take it as seeing, because always eyes are the ones which are given more importance even in law, correct? Eyewitness is important. Hearsay is not witness really. Somebody telling something about something, it will not even be considered as a evidence in the court. But if you say I saw it myself with my own eyes, then that will be having evidentiary value. So seeing means knowing clearly. And even in the Brihadaranyaka also, what is said? Atma va are drashtavyaha is said. There also drashtavyaha means you should see the Atma, means you cannot see the Atma as an object anyway, correct?
You can understand.
So, but it is about clarity in understanding. So here also what is the prayer then? What is the most auspicious thing to see for a mumukshu means it is Brahman only, correct? Knowing this Atma as Brahman is the greatest auspicious thing. Brahman itself is called Shivam. In the Mandukya Upanishad also, the word Shiva is there, correct? Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, all these words are all there. The most auspicious is this Brahman, and may I understand, that is the mumukshu's prayer you can take. It's not just seeing some pleasant sight. Even our place can be pleasant, but that's not the idea here. Then Sthirairangai Stuštuvagum Sastanubhihi. So Sthiraihi Angaihi. So Angaihi here you can take it as all your organs.
Limbs.
Sthiraihi means firm,
Steady.
strong, whatever, steady. Because even to do Shastra Shravanam, you should be able to sit in the class. Your ears have to work properly. Unless you are able to hear correctly, you will not be able to understand. Or in the Anga, if we include the mind also has to be steady and be able to focus. Otherwise, how are you going to understand? So, Sthiraihi Angaihi Tushtuvam Saha, actually it is. But when we chant, we say Tushtuvam Sastanubihi. Many people will think Tushtuvam is one word. No. Tushtuvam Saha, up to that. Then Tanubihi is separate. But when you chant, you say Tushtuvam Sastanubihi. Anyway, so Tushtuvam Saha means may we praise you. So again, to the devas we are saying, may we have a very strong and firm limbs and organs and all that, and with that, again, why are we even asking you to give us such a body? To praise you. Okay? May we praise you. But of course, that for normal person, it is only to praise the deva. Here again we have to say that for a mumukshu, it is only to know Brahman only. Even for this Brahmajnanam, to attain that, first we have to start with the physical health and all that. Without health, you cannot even learn Vedanta. So that's why starting young is better. But mostly people start Vedanta only after retiring and all that. But okay, whatever it is, whenever you start, it is okay. In fact, Bhagavan even says, even at the time of death you start also, it is fine. Okay. In the end of the second chapter, he does say that. Okay. Antakalepi and all he says. Stitvasyam antakalepi Brahma nirvanam richati and all that. So, but whenever you start, if you have a healthy body and mind, it is useful. So the prayer is for that. Again, Tanu Bihi is there. You say organs, Tanu means again body only.
Integrated.
But if you don't want to repeat, if you think that Stirai Rangaihi is already covering the body only, limbs only make the body, organs only make your body, then Tanu Bihi we can take also as the Veda. The Veda mantras also can be called as Tanu. Why that is important is because we are praying to the Deva, which is all, even though we say Devaha, Yatraha and all that, how do you know about the Devas? Only through the Veda, correct? Veda only has to reveal. I already told you that Veda only has to reveal there is a Swarga. Similarly, Veda only has to reveal there is an Ishvara also. Even though you may give 100 different logic, but only purely with logic you cannot establish anything. Understand that? Because any logic has to have initial assumptions. Many people think that they are great scientists and all that, or their scientific temper is there and all that. But even lot of modern young people also, they are all misunderstanding certain things. They think that logic is supreme. But logic is only a process. Understand that? Given initial assumptions, logic can lead you to some kind of a deduction of an end state or whatever. Correct? It is a process. But if your initial assumption itself is garbage, then regardless of the process of logic, your deduction also will be wrong only. Correct?
Gigo. Gigo.
Whatever. Garbage in, garbage out. Okay. That applies to AI also. Understand that. Because if you don't train the AI correctly, AI will hallucinate.
You need to use the right keyword.
Yeah. So, logic, that's why in the Shastra we say Tarkasya Apratisthana. Tarka doesn't have a Pratishta by itself. It's only a process, like I told you, because it requires initial assumption. In modern language, in science, they call it axiom. Understand that? Any scientific theory also is based on axioms. And axioms don't have any proof directly. Like second law of thermodynamics is there even in science. It is an axiom really. Or even the laws of thermodynamics, like entropy always increases. It is an axiom. Or speed of light is always constant regardless of the observer's whatever motion. It's an axiom. There is no direct proof. That is the starting point from which the theory or hypothesis is built. So the scientific method is not free of axioms. Understand that. But scientific method says that hypothesis should be falsifiable. So you build a hypothesis based on axioms, then you can do experimental design. That is what all the research nowadays is what? It's all only the same thing. Whether you do research in any subject, first you have to study this research methods, it's all only statistical also nowadays, mostly. So you are collecting some data and trying to validate whether you have a null hypothesis and things like that. Okay, you have a certain hypothesis, whether that hypothesis is statistically, the data is significant enough to prove it or disprove it, is what the research is all about. So in all these things, what we can say is the axiom is proved if the experimental verification is there for the whatever the hypothesis is predicting. Correct? Whatever your hypothesis predicted, if it is experimentally verified, then indirectly the axiom also is verified, you can say. But otherwise there is no direct, nobody can ask any proof for all these things. Before your hypothesis itself is taken up for experiment, if somebody asks for a proof of your axiom, you cannot give, correct? It's not possible. Okay, why am I even saying all these things? That is because we say Veda is a pramana. Veda is a means of knowledge. If it is a pramana, it has to give prama, correct? Pramana means prama karanam iti pramana. That which is a means of knowledge, we say. Knowledge here is valid knowledge, understand? So whatever Veda is revealing to me is valid knowledge. Once you say this, what will our young people will ask, or any scientific guy will ask, what is the proof that it is valid? Correct? Then how will you answer? Can you prove there is Swarga, there is a Deva, or even there is Ishvara?
Vedam Brahma.
You cannot prove. Then you are defeated already. They will put doubts in your mind also. Okay. Where is the proof? In fact, somebody even told me for extraordinary claims you should have extraordinary proof. Okay. So if you say Ishvara is there, that is extraordinary claim. And you should have extraordinary proof for that. So what do we say? So before we talk about any proof, that's why first we have to understand the nature of knowledge itself. Unless we understand that, you will be going in a circle. You will think then what is the proof for Veda, whatever it is revealing, is it valid or not? So what we call as knowledge, how do we define it in our tradition? I don't know how in Western epistemological studies how they define and all that. That much I am not a scholar or I haven't studied. But in our tradition, how do we define knowledge? We say it is anadhigatam, abhaditam. These are very important two words. Okay. Knowledge means it has to be anadhigatam. Adhigatam means what? Gatyartha we already saw. Adhigatam means already you know something. Anadhigatam means what? An or na is the negative particle, correct? Something which you do not know. Means knowledge means something you should know newly. Anything you know which is not already known. Then only it is anadhigatam. Then abhaditam. It should not be negated. Baditam means badha is negation. Right?
Sublime.
So there is nothing there about proof in this, correct? We are only saying that which is something, you have to know something new, unique, and that can never be negated by any other cognition. If you cognize something, it has to be something unique. That is the anadhigata part. Because otherwise it becomes memory. Understand that?
Spiriti.
You are only recollecting whatever you know. That is not new. Even here, our people and all, they have done a lot of analysis. So let us see, I keep looking at this cell phone. Now each cognition of that cell phone, what is new in that? You can ask, correct? It is the same cell phone you are seeing, means. Then our people answer, every cognition of cell phone is also qualified by the space-time. It is still there itself is a new knowledge, correct? Every cognition is also qualified by time. At this time it is still there, it is always a new knowledge because it need not be there in the next moment also, correct? It can get destroyed. So even though you are looking at the same object, like we used to play in school, correct? That who is able to keep their eyes open for the longest time. We used to call it eyes, I think. That game used to be called eyes. So you keep looking at somebody. So even if you look like that, every cognition, assuming a cognition is momentary, still reveals something new to you, because that cognition is qualified by that
New
time. Is the answer for that. So Anadhigatattvam is maintained that way. And Abaditam means it is, since it is not negated, we are considering it as a valid knowledge. So there is nowhere any idea of any proof. In fact, the idea of a proof itself is a problematic idea. Why? Let us say, what is this color? If I ask, what will you say? Black, whatever. Black or blue or whatever. Now, what is the proof that this is black? Can you give another any cognition? Can you prove me this is black?
Memory. Like recalling the
memory. Let us go to the first cognition of black for you. How did you prove that it is black? Can you prove it?
No.
Your eyes are reporting it is black, correct? It is not about the word. You have some experience of color. We are giving a word for this black, karupu, whatever it is. That is immaterial. But this is black. Everybody also agrees. Then it's a valid knowledge also. Nobody is negating you. But nobody can prove this is black, correct? Why you cannot prove it is black? Because color is only available to eyes, correct? You understand that? Only sense organ which can reveal color. In fact, that is one of the definitions also we give. In our tradition, Prama definition also is Anadhigatam. Pramana definition also has Anadhigatattvam as a characteristic of a Pramana. For a means of knowledge to be valid, it has to reveal something which is unique. It has to have a unique field of revelation. Otherwise, it is only Anuvada, we say. Correct? It is only repeating whatever is already known. Then it is not useful then, correct? If a Pramana is only revealing to me whatever is already known, why should I even use it? It's useless.
It is not Anadhigata.
Anadhigatattvam only makes it useful. Proof is not making it. Proof, in fact, you can never prove. By very definition of Anadhigatattvam, proof has gone out of the wind. Do you understand or not?
Yeah.
That is the most important thing you have to understand. Once you say Prama and Pramana have the characteristic of uniqueness of revelation, then there can never be any proof, because only that Pramana can uniquely reveal to you that. As long as any other Pramana does not negate it, it is taken as valid. You understand that? In fact, all Vyavahara is happening only like that. Otherwise, there can be no Vyavahara in the world. Understand that? Because if you are waiting for, see, if this is black, you have to do something, let us say. But you see it is black, then you wait for the another cognition to prove that this is black. Means, can you do anything about it then? It will become infinite regress, correct? Because the next cognition also, how do you know it is true? It is valid. Means, if you say another cognition is required to validate that or prove that, means there is no end, correct? It will become anavastha. So that is why we say all knowledge is self-valid. Is that clear? That is the most important thing we have to understand with reference to knowledge is what? All knowledge is
self-valid.
In Sanskritam we call it Swatah Pramanyam. Is that clear? Swataha Pramanyam. It being a valid means of knowledge is depending only on itself. There is no other. You don't require one more cognition or some other pramana cannot come and prove this pramana.
Right.
Because by definition it is like that. That is how it is. In fact, all knowledge is like that. Each and every sense organ has a unique field of revelation. Correct? Sound. You are hearing me. Can the eye come and prove that this is the sound? No. Taste, smell, none of it have access to the sound. Similarly, color, only eyes have access. None of the other sense organs or anything else have access to that. So each sense organ is having a unique field of revelation. And even Anumana, if you take, Of course, whatever Anumana you do, later on you can do Pratyaksha validation. But at the time of Anumana, why do you even do Anumana? Because Pratyaksha has no access to whatever you are doing inferencing, correct? The inferential knowledge you gain is still giving you a unique knowledge given the particular condition. We have to understand that. So Anadhigatattvam applies there also. But even the verification by Pratyaksha is still Anadhigata. Correct? You have to understand that. So all knowledge is really self-valid. So you cannot ask for any proof. If you are asking for proof, then you don't even understand what is knowledge. But it's very difficult to make people understand this, particularly those who ask for proof. Is that clear? So now why is all these things I am saying? Because once you say Veda is a pramana, you are giving the same status to the Veda. This Veda is revealing something unique to you and which should not be negated by anything else. Then by that definition you cannot ask for any proof, correct? If Veda says Ishvara is there, and if you accept the Veda as a valid means of knowledge, then Veda, Ishvara, that is valid knowledge, correct? There is no other, you cannot ask any other proof or any question and all that. Either you take it or your eyes are reporting this is black. There is nothing more than that, correct? Either you take it or you say, okay, my eyes are defective. That is okay, that's a different thing. So that is what is called Shraddha also.
Faith.
What is not Shraddha is not faith. Okay, faith is a very bad word, because the Christian concept of faith is, even if it is illogical, you have to have faith. Even if it goes against established knowledge, you have to have faith. That is not our understanding of Shraddha. Shraddha means you consider it as a valid means of knowledge. Veda is a valid means of knowledge. If you accept, then you are an Astika. Then only you are an Astika. You say, whatever Veda says, Asti. Correct? It is there. It is like that. Then you are an Astika. Astikya Buddhi. So the Shraddha itself is defined in our tradition as Guru Shastra Vakyeshu Astikya Buddhihi, we say. Whatever the Guru and Shastra says, you don't say it is wrong. It is not like that. Even though you may not understand initially, you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the Guru and the Shastra. If you are able to do that, then you have Shraddha. Otherwise, you will reject the Veda itself as a pramana and go away, correct? You will never then gain whatever it is supposed to give, you cannot gain. That is why even in the Gita, Bhagavan says, Shraddhavan labate jnanam. So without Shraddha, there is no jnanam. And in this case, for self-knowledge, none of the other pramanas can anyway help you. Understand that. You are helpless. Pratyaksha can only give you objective knowledge. It cannot reveal the nature of the subject. And since Anumana also is based on Pratyaksha, it can also not give you that. And Arthapatti and whatever, even if we talk about others, we can include all of them into either Pratyaksha or Anumana. Okay, Upamana and Arthapatti and Anupalabdhi and all, you either. So basically Pratyaksha and Anumana are the major pramana, but they can give you only objective knowledge. But this knowledge is about the subject. That is why even science is still struggling to talk about consciousness. Because scientists, they have blocked themselves, or they have themselves gotten into a prison where they say that everything should be objective. Their entire study is objective, correct? Their research method is geared for objectively studying, and they think that that is something great. But by that, what they have boxed themselves into a corner where they are not able to do anything about the subject. In fact, they cannot even accept whether there is a mind or not. We are now talking about an Atma which is not even the mind, correct? We are saying Atma transcends the mind and intellect also. We are talking about a consciousness. If you say subjective means it is a bad word for many scientists. But some of them are now coming up. They now talk about something called the hard problem of consciousness. Okay, they have a word called qualia, that is about the subjective experiences which we have as a human being. They have a word for at least now that they are discussing that, but still they don't know, I think, how to go about it. But at least some efforts are all being made. But unless we accept the Veda as a pramana, you have no way of arriving at self-knowledge, because Veda alone is the pramana there also. To remove all your self-identity confusion, Veda is the only pramana, and that alone will help you. So that's why you have to give the status of the pramana to the Veda, and that is the Shraddha you have. But again, this portion of the Veda at least you should not study yourself, so you should also have Shraddha in the Guru. That's why Guru Shastra Vakyeshu we have to say Astikya Buddhi. But how do you know Guru is only teaching whatever is there in the Shastra? That's why Guru has to be a Shrotriya, correct? Guru should have a lineage. Guru should have studied the Shastra and know the methodology of teaching also. Shrotriyam there doesn't mean just you have studied. Anybody could have studied. Many people know but they cannot teach.
That's why the lineage is.
So the teaching is called Sampradaya. The teaching methodology is there in the Sampradaya. Parampara is lineage. Sampradaya with, like that Bhashyakara talks about. Asampradaya, in fact, he is very brutal. He says Asampradaya with Murkhavat, he says. You have to set them aside. If they don't know the Sampradaya, you treat them like they are Murkha or idiots or fools, like that. Okay. Because the teaching methodology is also important, because this subject matter is subtle,
Very subtle.
and therefore that is why Guru is important. And in the Gita, Bhagavan says Ascharyavat Pashyati Kaschidenam, Ascharyavat Vadati Tathaiva Chanya, Ascharyavat Chainam Anyat Shrinoti, Shrutvapyenam Vedana Chaiva Kaschita, also he says. Means those who are listening to Vedanta only, they are looking at the subject matter of Vedanta with Ascharya, correct? It is something which is wonderful. And you listen to that and you understand also, means it is even more wonderful, correct? Ascharyavat Vadati. And to teach also is a great Ascharya. Why? Because we have to teach you something through words which is not the meaning of any one word. Understand that. Because what we say is every word can only denote four things. Jati, Guna, Kriya, Sambandha, we say. Means a word can denote a category or a genus, or it can denote a quality, correct? Attributes and all, quality. Or it can refer to an action, Kriya, or it can refer to a relationship, Sambandha. But what the Upanishad is revealing, it is saying Brahman or Atma is, it doesn't have any jati, correct? It is Ekameva Advitiyam, we say. It is Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata Bheda Rahita. So it doesn't have any jati. It is Nirgunaha, it doesn't have any guna. It is Nishkriya and it is Asanga. So how do we reveal that? But still you have to reveal it through words. That's why the teaching methodology is so important. And the main methodology is called Adhyaropa Apavada. Adhyaropa Apavadabhyam Nishprapancham Prapanchate. That is how our ancestors have taught us. So we deliberately superimpose and negate everything After negating everything also, the negator is left over, correct? You can never negate the negator. And that is your Swarupa. So that's how the Adhyaropa Apavada is the methodology used in the Shastra. And we'll continue this because we haven't even completely seen the Shanti Mantra meaning. We only came up to
second.
the
First 4 lines.
Sthirairangaihi Shruvagum Sastanubihi. Then Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu is there, we'll see that. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Namaha Harihi Om.